This is where I turn the camera off so I'm not on video, right?
Yeah. Right, I need to make you host again. Co-host.
Yeah.
We're live on YouTube.
Oh, nice.
Weirdly, though, it's only showing you up, Matt. Although I suppose it will just be the ones that you can hear the voice of.
Depends on your settings.
Yeah, maybe. Do I need to make anyone else co-host?
Nope. That'll do.
Oh, someone's decided to leave the waiting room, so there's only 6 of them in there now. I think they've all just decided to watch on YouTube.
Tim's trying to get access, that's why. Oh, at least we can see like the slides and then whoever's talking at the moment.
Yeah.
Just works out. I need to put that somewhere while still able to see you and the participants. Did you enable chat on it? Yeah.
Oh, cool. There's a few people in already. Oh, Zoom thingy didn't work. Oh, Zoom is working now. Yeah, if anyone was waiting in the lobby and then decided to exit, go back in and you should be able to join. Are we letting people in now?
Yeah, I just need to find the actual bit that does it.
I can see it. There's a button that says admit all, yeah?
Yeah, just go for it.
Good evening, everyone. I'll just let everyone get in there. That's probably had to press join with computer audio.
And then video.
Hello.
Hello, who's that?
Can
Oh,
you
is
hear?
that Dean?
Yeah.
Hi, how are you?
Hi there.
Okay, cool. So I think we've got everyone that was waiting in the lobby in here. So yeah, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our first Umbraco Leeds virtual meetup. Lovely that you can all join us. I'm going to do a couple of quick housekeeping points, and then I'm going to hand over to Ali, who's going to host for us this evening. So first of all, even though it's a virtual meetup, we figured we should remind you that we have a code of conduct. It's the fairly simple one that we stole from Umbraco UK Fest, and it's from the Festival Code of Conduct. So it basically just says everyone be nice to each other, no discrimination, no kind of nasty language against anyone. Please have a read of it if you're not familiar with it, and we'll observe the same sort of rules in here as we would on any other meetup that we do in Leeds. Special welcome to anyone who's joining us from anywhere that's not the normal Leeds meetup. So great that you can join us. And feel free to tweet about us. All the details are on there. And yeah, I'm going to now hand over to Ali, and he's going to take us through the evening. And he'll just he will when he unmutes himself.
Yeah, sorry about that. I muted it because I had a child screaming in the background, so you probably didn't want to hear that. Yes, so thank you for that, Andy. So welcome to Umbraco Leeds. Again, thank you for everybody coming who normally doesn't. We have talked about streaming these in general, just the normal meetups, so it's good to see how this actually goes. So just a quick agenda. So introductions, a bit of a welcome, and then we'll be handing over to Paul Searle, who'll be doing 10 tips on how to build a better Umbraco website. And then show and tell. Everybody's got a show and tell to do, and then social discussion. I think as we're all locked down and locked in at the moment, we thought we'd go through that and just to see how everybody's doing. Anybody tips of what they've been doing to make their life less stressful, being trapped in the house, whatnot. So just to introduce you to the guys who run Umbraco Leeds, the organisers. So there's Andy who introduced us earlier.
Excuse me, I had a question.
Yep.
I was wondering if any of you are interested in the threesome. I just really want some.
And we got a public link.
I've removed him.
All right.
Carry on.
Okay.
What was his name?
What was his name? I don't know. There's somebody waiting called Pierre. Is it A? I don't know. So yeah, so Andy introduced us. He's got me, Ali, you've got Matt, who you can also see who's in space for some reason. We've got Phil, who I don't think's joined us yet. He might just be running a bit late, and Matt as well.
Sir, I just have a quick question.
Yep.
Can you stop?
Yep. Go ahead.
Enough.
Okay, that was a bit weird.
Is that Peter Ape again?
Yeah.
He had multiple accounts. I've kicked them both, and I won't let him buy them back.
Yeah, so so hopefully Phil and Matt will join us. So yeah, and you. So as Paul's already said, Andy's already said, Michael and joining. I think Rachel's just appeared yet. So just to go, which we've stole from Umbraco Coffee for everybody who watches that. Some news this week. So obviously we had Umbraco 8.6 in there, which has got a lot of changes in. I don't know if anybody's had a look at it yet. I've not had a chance, but there's quite a few changes there to look at. Outfield Digital release Bender. I know a lot of us at Spark or have tried it, so that's quite exciting. And Andy, you put UCommerce 9, has that been released as well? Don't know what that noise was. And yeah, just to remind the security patches to dependencies and the Umbraco forms are out. So you guys haven't done that yet, then go ahead and do it.
Yeah, sorry, I was having trouble unmuting myself, Ali, at the same time I was trying to kick out another gremlin. They did say that they were going to release UCommerce 9, but I can't find anything on their website that actually alludes to that having happened yet. So yeah, I think there might be just a quiet release of that one.
Yeah, I guess some other news which isn't related to Umbraco on the screen as well.
Is this a public or a private?
It's private, but the password is on there. But yeah. Right, remove that one.
Oh, hang on, I'll start again.
Yeah, I'm not sure how he's drawing on the screen.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Suppose we can't let anyone else in now, then, can we?
Right, can anyone see the screen again?
Yep.
Yep, cool. So obviously this is an Umbraco news, but some of you might be interested. Episerver have made all of their training courses, which are like $9,000 free until June. So if ever you're interested in trying Episerver, then now will be the time.
What, completely free, and can you still get certified for it?
No, you can't get certified. I don't know how. I don't know.
Right. Hang on a minute. We'll get rid of these other two people who we don't know who they are. And unfortunately, there we go.
Okay. Yeah, so you still have to pay for the exam, but I think the exam's only like £200. But
Shall we just check? Soren and Terence, are you real people? Because we recognise everyone else.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know who Soren is.
Okay.
One.
Let's just
Yeah, I
check
know
that
who
you're not the
Soren is.
people drawing willies on our screen. So yeah, fabulous. It never gets old, but it's a bit of an interruption.
Okay, right. Can you see the screen again? Right. I think that's about everything I was going to say. Any other news they want to mention? I might have missed.
I think there was a bit of talk last week, and I think Umbraco have extended the bridging courses again. So obviously they're just trying to sort of still push those. And if you want to upgrade your certification from 7 to 8, I think that's until the end of April or May. They've said you can do that now.
Okay, they've not told us that, so that's quite handy because not managed to do that for Matt yet.
I think it came out on one of their many general comms emails, so that's useful for people who are wanting to do that.
Yeah. I know there's a partner update on the 23rd of April as well, so we'll probably update you guys the following meetup, Zoom May's meetup, or what they mentioned.
Also, there was a search package that was released today as well. If anyone can beat me to it, I'm just trying to find the name of it.
Full text search.
Oh, if you want to stop people drawing winkies on the screen, just go into the settings for the group and turn off annotation, and then they can't do it.
You'll have to do that, Paul.
Yeah, okay. I'll give it a go.
I think the thing is we're probably not letting any other people in, because especially if you're live on YouTube, they can watch it on there. But when we come to Q&A, I suppose if anyone's watching on YouTube and does want to join, maybe just send us a tweet or actually put a name in that we can see, and then we can actually let you in from the lobby, because there's 3 bots or 3 lurkers hiding in the lobby by the looks of it.
Right.
Lurkers.
There you go. I've just put a link in the chat to the instructions for turning off annotations.
Oh, Phil is in the lobby. We should let him in.
Yeah, that's fine.
There you go. Phil, you should be able to come in.
I can't see how to do it. Oh, annotate. Meeting tab, click under meeting basic, verify annotation is enabled. Navigation. Well, I don't seem to have a settings in the navigation. Maybe if we don't let any.
We'll just let people in that we trust not to draw profanities.
Yeah.
Learning for everyone.
Yeah. Change the way we give the password out next time. Okay, yeah. So I'll stop sharing now. I'll hand over to Paul.
Cool. Right, can you see my screen? No, not yet. Let me just share this. Sorry if this is agony. Let me. Right, share screen 2. Okay, hopefully you can see my screen. Refresh. How do I hide this? Maybe I should put this on the other screen. Sorry about this.
Catchphrase has really gone downhill these days.
Stop the share, and then I'll share my other screen. Oh, is it going to do it every time I share? What can you see on the screen?
A grid of numbers.
So you don't see the controls over it?
There are 2. No, we can just see outro, intro, and numbers.
Oh, right. Okay, that'll do. All right, and so welcome to this talk. Whilst we're watching this talk, if you are watching along, I suppose the people that are watching live on YouTube or anyone in the actual who made it into Zoom, you can there's a competition running along while I do this talk. So basically, there's going to be an animated GIF that gets revealed as I'm revealing each of these different tips. And if you can guess what common developer catchphrase the animated GIF represents, then if you tweet me at CodeSharePaul, then at the end of the talk, the first 2 people to have tweeted the right answer will be able to win the prize. So there's 2 prizes, but I think that's all in the intro anyway. Let's start with the intro. So yeah, this is 10 tips for building better Umbraco websites, and it's all focused on V8. So who am I? I'm Paul Seal. I work for Moriarma, and I'm a 100% remote worker, but I suppose everybody who's here now is probably 100% remote workers now. I make Umbraco packages, and not just Umbraco packages, but I do some of the .NET NuGet packages as well. I've got a blog called codeshare.co.uk, and I have a YouTube channel that accompanies my blog. I basically started off doing blogging, but then a year later I decided that it was a lot easier just to put it into video format and just start creating the tutorials like that, because there's less writing involved. Yeah, and also, I won the Umbraco MVP award, which helped me get the job that I'm in now, I think. So why this talk? So at the time that I wrote the talk, I did it for Umbraco UK Festival in November. I was working there for a year. It's been a year and a half now, and I've been learning a lot of new things. And the way I like to do things is try and teach myself from 6 months ago or younger than that of what I would have loved to have seen in a talk and learned about Umbraco. And also, I want to give you things to take away. So you might see some things in this talk that you might then go and use, even if it's just the prizes. So credit where it's due, just to say thanks to the people. Basically, Mark Goodson taught me a lot of the stuff. Mark used to do the level 2 Umbraco training courses. And basically, since I've been working at Moriarma, it's like I've been getting training on the job from Mark and Darren, who used to do the courses as well, and the other guys that I work with, one of which is Matt Hart. I mentioned him in this as well, and Nick Rimington and Kevin Jump as well get some credit for this. I built the slide deck with Umbraco 8. It's basically, this is just a bootstrap carousel that I've got, and each of these on that home screen is just launching another modal window to go through the carousel. Don't forget to play the game. If anyone's just tuning in, guess what the catchphrase is from the animated GIF behind the squares. A bit like catchphrase, say what you see. And just tweet me at CodeSharePaul with what your answer is, but don't send me any pictures of Winkies. As I say, the prize is 6 months free access to Elmer.io Business is one of them. That does error tracking, deployment tracking, and uptime monitoring. So I've been talking to Thomas from Elmer.io. He's been helping me with it on my website, and I've been giving him feedback on that. And JetBrains as well. I approached them, and they've given me a free license to give away as well. So whoever gets in first gets to choose which prize they want, and then second gets the remaining prize. Right, I think we know the rules on that one. I think Matt wants to join. So this is going to reveal these in random order. So I'll just press the space bar, and then it will go into the first of the 10 tips. When I did it at the UK festival, I flew through it. I was like rushing to get through it really quickly. So I'll try not to be so fast. So first one then is doctype grid editor. So Soren's on the call. So Soren took on doctype grid editor, I think, when Lee was experiencing his burnout, and made it work for Umbraco V8. So this is just some tips about using doctype grid editor. It can apply to V7, but it was with using it in V8. So this is doctype grid editor, and you can pick the different doc types that you want. But if you notice, when you click on it, you then have another click to pick one of those. What I did was I wanted to do it so you could actually, rather than have to click on Doc tab and then do another click, you can actually choose it from this earlier menu. And it just makes it a bit easier. So the way to do it, what I'd like to do is when you install Doc Grid Editor, if you think that it's got its own package manifest file and things like that, and if you want to add your own custom ones, you add to that. The way I did it was if you do a separate custom grid editors folder that copies the package manifest file, and you put it in the app plugins folder, and you call it whatever you want to call it, like custom grid editors like this, and it's just the package manifest file. Then, so you copy the one from that comes with it, and then you can edit it for all of your custom ones. So you keep the JavaScript and CSS at the bottom, but you just add in all of your editors that you want to add in, like this one here, called image link. And notice the large dialog is true. I think it might have even evolved further for a medium one as well. I'm not quite sure. And Soren's nodding, so that's good. Yeah, so that's just one tip about using Doc Grid Editor, and a good idea to do that, the separate folder in the app plugins. So next tip, number 10, IIS Builder. So my colleague Matt Hart, he works with me at Moriarama, and he created this PowerShell script that it creates the website in IIS for you. And I think quite a few people in the community have started using it now. And it's really useful. It just sets it all up in IIS without you having to set anything up yourself. And it creates it with the SSL certificate as well for you, all from running the PowerShell script. So you see here, I've even got 4 different website addresses, two different website addresses, the redlion.localtest.me and the crown.localtest.me. And it's created the site for me with 2 separate HTTPS SSL certificates. And yeah, it can do the multiple domains. It's ever so easy. You just run the PowerShell, and the SSL certificates are valid. It applies it to the bindings for you, and it just cuts out a lot of work. And it also saves you from just doing Control F5 to run without debugging like that. So yeah, it's made from Matt from Moriarama. And what you do is you create the config file and you save it as iisconfig.json. And on his GitHub, which I will have a link in here, you can just download the files or open the raw file and then save it locally and then just edit it. So you edit the IIS site name, the app pool name, and the binding. So on this site, I had 2 domains, but you could just do it with 1 if you wanted to. Yeah, you download it from here. I think Matt has since given you a PowerShell command that actually downloads this for you as well. So maybe if you get in touch with Matt or have a look on the README for this repo, you'll be able to see the updated version of that. So you will end up with these 2 files, the config file, which you've edited, and the PowerShell file, and these are in your web root folder. And then you just run that with PowerShell, and it will add those bindings for you. It will add the SSL certs, and then so basically you can just go to that web address, the redlion.localtest.me, and it will run like a website on your local machine without Visual Studio being open. So that one's quite a useful one. So there's the link if you wanted to take a screenshot or what have you, or pause the video on YouTube, and you can have a look at that one. Yeah, don't forget, if anybody's guessed what the catchphrase is, to tweet at Co-Chair Paul with what they think the catchphrase is, and they can win prizes at the end. Number 1, default values. So quite a few times I've been, whilst working with Umbraco in V7 and V8, it's come up where I've needed to have default values populated, but not always the default values like you can get from a blueprint. These are dynamic default values like the date or other things like that. So that's why they're different to blueprints. And also in V7, you can actually dynamically load populate the name. In V8, I noticed you couldn't do it for the name. So why might you do this? So I've had to do it before, where I've had to change to pre-populate the article date to be set to today. Also, the last uploaded image by default is quite handy if you think that if you've been editing images, uploading images, and you come to do your article, it's quite handy that the picked image by default is the last image that was edited or uploaded onto the site. So it's quite a handy one for you. And this is it in action. So click on article, and already it's got an article date populated and it's got the image populated for you. So I'll show you the code how to do this. So it's using the editor model event manager, and it's a sending content model event. And I created a method called set default value. I wrote a blog post for V7, and Nick Remington took it on and updated it for V8 as well. So on his site, justnick.me, he's actually done the one for V8. So I used some of his code and modified it as well for my own purposes for this talk. So basically, I'm saying what doc type I want to use it on, what property I want to use it on, and what value I want to pass in. So then this method that I created will just check to see if it is that doc type. It will look through all the model variants, and then it will apply this value if it matches the property alias. And the get last image one, I did it like this, where you do examine index and you search, and then you look for the last uploaded image, and then you just set the property of that image, property picker, image picker, media picker, that's it. And that's that one for you. So has anybody guessed it? I bet everyone's guessed it already by now. Number 9, let's see what we've got. Content app permissions. So when content apps came out, it was probably about this time last year, I was in a competition trying to win with Nick Remington, trying to win the competition for the best content app before Code Garden last year. And I was going a bit crazy with content apps, and because we don't have tabs anymore in V8, but then again, Soren's here and he's got his Matryoshka package, you can have tabs back. But with content apps, it's like you use those tabs, but for other things, to give you some context about the content item or media item, and I think now member items as well. So, but if you have too many of them, it can look messy. And when I was bringing these content apps out, these ideas, that's what the feedback was. It was like, yeah, it's too many. Not everyone should have this. So, and if you look at the permissions for content apps, it does seem a little bit odd, because it's set by the actual developer who develops the package, and they put that in their, I think, is that in their manifest file for the package. But you don't want to have to do that. It shouldn't be the developer of the package that decides who gets to see the content apps in your solution. It should be the users or the administrators that get to decide that. So it should be locked down by the content app creator. Sorry, so it's either been locked down by the creator or it's open to all users. So I was thinking, what if we could control the content app permissions by user group? Introducing our Umbraco content app permissions. So it's on NuGet. You can already download it and install it. And it lets you control who can see the content apps. And the way it works is, if you look at this one here, so we've got access to this content app called Filter, the one that I did with Nick. But if we go into groups, and I've got a group called Image Filter, and I remove the admin user, then when you go back into the media item, it's no longer there. So they no longer have permission to see that content app. And the way I did this was, so I've got this method here, get allowed content apps, which passes in the user and the IEnumerable of content apps. And it loops through them just to match and checks against there's an app setting in the web config, just to see how it works, and if what user role is allowed which content app. And then it matches those up, and it basically changes the list of content apps. It replaces it. So it'll either take it out the list or leave it in the list and give it back when it's sending the content model again. So we can do better than this. So if you've seen Dave Wurstenberg's redirects viewer, you'll see that he's got a good permission setting in here. So he's thought about this and he's put good permissions in his content app, but then that's still permissions per content app. So you don't want to have to do that on every single one. It'd be good if we could actually manage it within the permissions that we're used to. So it would be really good if we could have it managed here in the so the administrator group or on the user. So that was the idea that I had there. So hopefully if someone's watching this or it's already been done, maybe someone could do a pull request to allow us to change the permissions within there. All right, let's go to the next one. Number 3. So stacked content in V8. So a lot of people were holding out for moving over to V8 because popular packages like stacked content weren't in there. And Soren helped by releasing doc-type grid editor. But what I've done is basically where I work at Moriarma, we sort of like made our own poor man's version of stacked content. And this is what we did. So it's using the Umbraco grid. And you can basically just pick these items. So you create a grid partial called stacked, and you clean it up, and it just renders the rendering of the row is just literally rendering what comes from that partial view for that grid item. So it's using doc-type grid editor and it's using the Umbraco grid. And so it just gets the grid HTML and it just passes that through, and because it's clean, it's got nothing wrapped around it. It doesn't use any of the bootstrap or any of that. It's just like when you're rendering out the stack content partials. So yeah, it's just doc-type grid editor from there, similar to stack content because it's rendering out from the iPublished element that got passed to the partial. And so in theory, if stacked content did get released for V8, or if the block editor comes out for V8, I assume they'll still be using iPublished element. Hopefully, I didn't keep up with the RFC, if I'm honest, but it's just basically mapping the iPublished element in a partial view. So that's how we're doing it at Moriarma without stacked content. We'll carry on. Number 5, local test.me. So the eagle-eyed viewers, who, if you are eagle-eyed, you've probably already answered the question by now and put your guess in. At Co-Chair Paul on Twitter. Anyway, so you'll notice that when I did the one about IIS Builder, that I used some domains called localtest.me. It's probably widely known by now, but it always points to 127.0.0.1. So it always points to localhost for you. So whatever, there's no need to edit the host file anymore when you're working locally. So whatever domain you want to use, like bob.localtest.me or whatever, myshop.localtest.me, it will always point to 127.0.0.1. And that goes hand in hand with the IIS Builder package because it doesn't even have to edit the host file. I think that has got the capability of doing it if you need it to. So yeah, this is just an example of me pinging one of these. So test.localtest.me. You can do this on your machine as well. Anything you can think of, and it will just go to 127.0.0.1. And that's it. That's the localtest.me tip. And then we've got number 8. So using snapshots. So at Moriarma, Mark showed me using snapshots, which is it's ideal for development iterations, or sprints, however you want to call it. But it's good for if you've got a backup of the live site, the live database. You create a usync snapshot, which is basically a snapshot in time of the current state of everything in the database. And so you could have it like before the iteration called pre-whatever Bob iteration. And then you do the work, and then at the end of it, you create another snapshot. Then when it comes to putting it on the live, on the other environments, like the staging environment and the live environment, because they've already got the initial snapshot and this new snapshot, you can just apply the changes that appear in this new snapshot. And it's really handy and gives you that control over what gets applied and within these snapshots. So it's really useful. That was usync snapshots. I think that's included in usync complete now. So in V7 for usync, I think it was free. It came with it for free. But I think in V8, it's part of usync complete. Number 2, tree icons. This is one of my favorites, actually. So which image here doesn't have alt text? So from this view, how can you tell which image doesn't have alt text? How do we know? What if there's a way to tell visually what the values are by changing the color of the icon or maybe by animating it? So if you look at this demo here, you can see that this icon here is rotating and it's red. And that's doing that to alert the editor that this doesn't have an alt text property. And you don't have to just do it for the alt text. You can configure it to whatever you want to be. The idea is that we're able to apply different classes to the icons in the content tree so that it can alert the end user of things that they need to know. So that it can be different things for different contexts. So the way we did it, using the new compositions in V8. So we've got the tree node rendering composer, and it's a component composer, and I've got a tree node rendering component, and I'm hooking into the tree nodes rendering event, and on the next page I'll show you the logic for it. So we're basically looping through, looking to see if the tree alias is media and if the node type is of media, and then on the next part here, this is where it gets that item from the cache and it checks if it's a folder or not. And if it's not a folder and it doesn't have the alt text, then it adds a CSS class called alt text missing. And then to actually get the animation and the color change, just do in the app plugins folder, you can do a custom package folder called custom styles. And then with a package manifest, which just points to a CSS file. And then in the CSS file, all you needed to make this to rotate and be read is just these lines of code with this keyframes animation. And that whenever that class is on the node, it will rotate and it will be read. So this is it in action again. So if you save it with that, it stops it spinning. And then if you go into there, delete it. Just to recap, really, just to show you that animation, and it's spinning again. So that was that one. Number 6, caching. So a lot of reasons why a site might be running slow is probably down to caching. And what we do at Moriyama, we do performance sprints and things like that. And this is one of the first things that we look at is what can be cached. One of the key one of the big problems is if someone's got a navigation on a massive site and it's bound to the structure of the content tree, and it's looping through all of the nodes, and even worse if it's using the content service to loop through the nodes, then it will basically be taking ages on every single request. So it's hitting the database each time if it's going through the content service. And what you can do is you can cache the results, and it's not just the navigation. You might have something that does hit the database. So there's lots of ways to do caching. So you can use cache partials, cache macros, and just to go back, some of this might be obvious for a lot of people in the room or on YouTube watching, but some people like myself from 6 months or a year ago might not realize this, and unless someone points it out to you, you don't know it. You don't know what you don't know, and it's handy if you can learn it. That's why I've included this one as well, just because it does have a big impact if you do this. So you can cache partials, cache macros. You can use the default memory cache. You can cache your SQL queries. And Anthony Dang is really passionate about caching, and I think he's brought some packages out. So you could ask him on Twitter or on the Umbraco Slack. I'm sure he's grateful of me sending people his way. So yeah, you could just keep it as simple as this. So HTML cached partial site layout / footer. You pass in the content model and the number of seconds to cache it for. So I think that's an hour. So that will just, instead of looping through the logic and doing everything, that will just return that partial straight away without having to do anything. And if you want to cache a macro, you can do it this way as well. So you can set the cache period, and you can cache by page or cache personalized to the member. So that's the caching one. And my final tip, again, these were in random order. Action menu items. So we've talked about content apps, and I really like them. And when I started working at Moriama, I was introduced to the idea of these action menu items, because if you're just building websites, maybe lots of brochureware websites, and you don't really add any extra functionality to it, you can go for a long time doing similar things all the time and not actually seeing the real ways to extend Umbraco. And this is a really good way to extend Umbraco. And so to learn more about this, I decided to create a package called Auto Translate, and it allows you to add a context menu item here onto a node, and then so it opens out a tray so that you can add some options on here, and then you can do a save or go off and call some APIs or what have you. So this package that I played about with, it auto translates your whole site for you. So it uses the Azure text translation service. So it's not going to be very accurate or very good, but it might come up with some funny results. And it goes off, and you can choose which editors to do. But so it's not about this package, it's about the ability to actually use these action menu items. And some people might forget about that. They might go straight into a content app and forget, actually, that could have just been an action menu item. So this is the code if you want to do it. So again, it's using composition, and it's hooking into the tree controller based menu rendering event. And that event here, so I'm looking to see, is the tree content, and can I get the content item, and then I'm just going to add a new item and put the globe in there as the icon, and I'm going to tell it what view to use for the action. So that's the code to get it to work with that. So what else could you do with it? So what you could also do, rather than just adding ones, you can actually hook into it to remove things. Maybe you need to remove the delete option of something, maybe on Umbraco forms. You don't want certain member levels to be able to delete Umbraco forms and things like that. Or you can add new functionality like sending to MailChimp, or export the page as PDF, or share on social media. If you've got an API call, you can hook into. And they are like content apps, you know, and their opportunities are endless, like content apps as well. So that was the last one of those. Hopefully someone has guessed this by now. I'll see if it says it in here. I'll just see. But first of all, yeah, credit where it's due. Thanks to Mark Goodson, Matt Hart, Nick Rimington, and Kevin Jump. And thanks to Elmer and JetBrains for supplying the prizes. And I'm just going to see, I think I've only got one tweet. No one's guessed it. Wow, no one's actually had a go. So if you want, I'll start revealing clues if you don't get it. So if anybody wants to win these prizes, it's JetBrains and it's Elmer.io. So what do you do when a project is ready?
Launch.
It's like launch, but it's not launch.
Release?
No.
Oh God.
When you're holding back,
things.
you're holding back, and you don't want to release it. But what do your friends always say to you when you want to hold back? You don't think it's right. Yeah, who said that first?
Me and someone else.
Was that
I went for it as well. Not sure if I clashed.
Yes, I think Dean went first. Who was that? Was that you, Andy?
No, I think it was Joe actually. I just said ship, not ship it.
Yeah. Okay, Dean and Joe. I think Dean, you can choose. Do you want the JetBrains license or the Elmer license?
What's Elmer?
Elmer is the error logging. Elmer IO is the error logging where it's built in a web. So it's the web version of the open source package. You get all the error logging going to a you can log in and you can manage all of that, and you can do all sorts of different actions like uptime monitoring and everything like that. And JetBrains is so you can have resharper and rider and things. So it's up to you which one you want to pick.
That's tempting, but I think I'll go for the Elmer one.
Okay, so that means Joe, you get the JetBrains license. So I'll send you both email if you could. Yeah, I think Dean, you've already DM'd me. So Joe, if you send me a DM on Twitter and with your details, and then I can get them sent over.
Thanks, Paul.
That's all right. I think if I just go to that was it, outro. So if anybody wants my details, that was the last slide. Co-chair Paul on Twitter, co-chair.co.uk, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's it. That's the talk done. Thank you.
Paul.
I'm hot now.
So not beer.
Yeah, I will.
Right, so switch back to me. I apologise if there were someone baby crying in the background, but my kids are currently in the bath and one's having the hair washed. So
didn't hear anything.
Well, thank you very much for that, Paul. Great talk. Enjoy your prizes, guys. I could not guess that. I think I said ship. I didn't do the ship. Yeah, thank you for doing that, Paul. Paul actually was going to come up, get his train tickets booked. He was going to be here in person, obviously, with the coronavirus, he wasn't. So it's great being able to do that talk virtually, because I missed out on it at UK Fest, so I personally learned quite a bit there. Some stuff cool. I quite like the little GIF at the end. It's quite good little idea.
Yeah. Can
you all see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Right. So this is a calendar which I believe Andy you stole from the Edinburgh meetup, or did you make this up yourself? He's on mute. He's trying to scramble.
I entirely made the calendar. I searched the internet for lots of amazing things, and this is the cutest calendar I could find.
I like the splat. That's quite good. So obviously, just what's going on at the moment. So obviously Umbraco Leeds today. We've got Umbraco Coffee every Friday. We've got the mindfulness, which I think is 9 o'clock UK time. Is that right?
Yep, on a Wednesday morning, Chris Diminick, Shannon's wife, is doing that, and she puts it on Facebook Live, so you can do it in the evening if you want it. It's very nice, especially at the minute with everything that's going on. It's nice to take a bit of time to ground yourself, and she's got a wonderful voice that's just lovely to listen to, and yeah, highly recommend that.
Yeah, if you've not been to one at Cove Garden, it's highly, as Andy said, highly recommend doing it. It was probably one of the highlights for me at Cove Garden, just actually take some time out and chill. So, yeah, really good at the moment. So obviously there's Umbraco London on the 16th, so I should not be virtual, so probably go along to that. And the Edinburgh one is the last Thursday of the month, so is that on the 30th, or is that?
No, Owen confirmed this afternoon it's going to be the last Thursday of next month.
And then obviously we'll be back first Thursday of next month, May. I've forgotten have we got anyone confirmed for next month yet or not? We did have a calendar. Is that still going ahead, or?
I mean, I have to say, we'll let you know on Twitter. Is probably the response to that one.
We did have a load of speakers lined up, but obviously we're doing a lot of juggling at the moment with what's going on in the world. So I didn't pick this GIF because if anyone knows me, I hate cats because I'm allergic to them, but enjoy that. I'm nearly sneezing looking at that, to be honest. So has anybody got any code they want to share, projects, funny tweets, animals, as Andy said? I know that Soren in the chat mentioned document editor tree. Should make it a lot easier, and you should release it really. So that's in the link there. And Dean also mentioned the full text search, which is in the chat as well. If you can see them. Does anybody else got anything they want to share? No.
No, maybe not. But Ali, just before you say about the funny, that's not a funny gift. That's my actual cat high on catnip. So I couldn't resist featuring her. She's almost 20, and I figured she deserved a YouTube premiere. So not just some random gif. I actually fully imported her for all your viewing pleasure. So, but at the Edinburgh meetup last week, it was quite nice because a couple of people had children running around. So we got to see Phil's little one and a couple of other people. So it's just obviously everyone's working at home, and it's nice to actually see see the human side of everyone's dev life.
Yeah, apologise for offending your cat then.
Don't worry.
Only see mine at the moment because they're actually in the bath, and you're not allowed to do that by law. So. Okay, so go on to the next bit, which is just an open discussion about lockdown. So, obviously in week 2 with the government lockdown, I don't know about anywhere else, we were on our 3rd week for working from home. I think personally it's been a bit mental. It's probably the right way to describe it. There's been a lot of bit of stuff going on. Some people know working 26, there's a lot of stuff going on at 26 where there's been a couple of redundancies and other changes we have to make. So we've lost, and also we had people leave our team to start with to get new jobs. So our team, we've lost a few people, which has been a bit hard to deal with because everybody who's left are really good people. But then also the challenges from work from home, we're a big agency. We've done it really well, to be honest. There's not really been any issues. But going out to find food has been an issue. Everybody else has had that problem. Can't meet anywhere. Also, we start using the Modern Milkman app. Don't know if you've heard of that. It's an app on your phone, and you can order milkshakes, eggs, brownies. They do veg and fruit boxes, which are really good, quite big. This is in the UK, obviously. Okay. So,
what was that called again? Sorry.
The Modern Milkman. So they literally, they're all over the country. So it's just independent people doing it. So we've got a giant fruit and veg one, which is really good. So obviously saving the stress because we 2 kids, we want to eat as many fruit and vegetables as possible, obviously, and there's been nothing in the supermarkets. So that was really good. Really enjoyed that, to be honest. Not too bad with the price. And if you can order it, you can schedule it. Well, where we are, you can schedule it for Monday, Wednesdays, or Fridays. If you order it the day before as a one-off order, it'll be on your doorstep straight away. So I've had no issues with it. I think a few people might have, but everybody I know who's used it has found it fine. But yeah, trying to code with kids running around is not easy. Anybody else want to share?
If you're after any freelancers, because everyone's left, hello. I've just been laid off as well. So. No.
Yeah, I think Phil was pointing at his little one there, but he's on mute at the minute. So yeah, who else? Who's actually working at home with children at the minute then and juggling? Tim. Yeah, Ali.
Yeah, my
Phil,
son's
Dan,
at home, but my wife looks after my son. But I get to play snakes and ladders with him, play in the garden. Dinner time.
Oh, hello to Phil's little one. We're waving at you.
Alice. Hello, Alice.
Hello. Alice.
You okay?
Hello. You need to speak louder than that. Say
hello.
Say
hello.
konbanwa.
I've also just realized
You're going for a bath, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. You're going to go for your bath now. You're interrupting everybody, aren't you? You started out. Okay. Go and have your bath. Bye-bye.
So does that mean we've stopped asking the rubber duck and we're now asking our 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds to look at our problems?
Yeah. She's much better than I am, especially at JavaScript.
Child's play, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. There's that HTML for babies book that I got as soon as she was born. Has anybody seen that?
No. Does that actually exist?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I think you need to tweet us all a picture of that, and yeah. Wow.
I either get shouted at PJ Masks or Harry Rat at the moment, so as much use as I get.
So out of interest, then, is anyone having to actually go to meetings or go into the office? Is anyone getting forced to do that, or is everyone at home right now, or at home or being laid off?
I've got the keys in case something goes wrong back in the IT of the office, but that's it. I haven't had to go in yet.
You've what? Sorry, Terence.
I've got the keys in case of an emergency if the VPN fails in the office, but I haven't had to go in yet. Touch wood.
Sweet.
Yeah, we're using Teams for everything. So everyone else has. I've noticed that meetings are a hell of a lot quicker compared to. They just basically get through the point. Everyone turns the meeting off, and that's it. So we're getting a lot more done meeting-wise. The more being a bit more quicker, streamlined. Useful.
Why do you think that is, Ali? I'm kind of surprised because I would like sometimes, especially because I work at home all the time. I sometimes find that actually having a meeting's a chance to have a bit of social time as well. And I found that with a couple of my clients that they're actually wanting to have a bit more of a chat on a normal meeting because they're sat at home and they're sort of missing the thing that they'd normally do with their team.
I don't know. I guess I've not been on a client call. Mine have all been department ones, so we've been trying to sort stuff out. So maybe it's just pressing what we've been working at. But even today, we had a kick-off meeting for a new project, and that was fairly sharpish, to be honest. So maybe people don't like seeing themselves in the webcam. I don't know.
Does anybody do like? Because I've worked from home for a really long time with my team for about a year now, and we do a couple of hours every week where we just sit around and have a chat. Does anybody do that? Because I think it's really important. Because people do that in offices. So why can't they do that? Just set aside a bit of time to talk about the rugby or whatever.
Yeah, that's quite a good idea because that's definitely the biggest thing I've missed from being in the office. Because right now we're sat at our teams, we're all sat at home, and we have an open Discord channel which people don't really use. But it's that.
Yep.
I quite like the idea of just having some time purely just to talk rubbish about what's been on Netflix or whatever. That's I'll bring that up and see what they think. That's good.
We've got half an hour scheduled in every day for virtual fika. I think Rachel does the same at their place.
Yeah, we have a drop-in at 12:30 every day for a catch-up. And if you don't go, you get chased. So if you haven't been all week, it's optional, but it's like if you haven't been all week, the MD will just say, "Are you all right? Is everything okay?" Not like you must come to the meeting, just check in on you. And we also have a dev stand-up at 10:30. And those have been, sometimes they're dead quick, but sometimes they're a bit of a natter as well. And then we started it last week on a Friday lunchtime. We had a quiz that was done through Teams. So it was one guy typed in the questions, and then we had to type the answers back. And it was about 20 of us playing. And the first 4 or 5 really tried, and after that, everyone just started taking the mickey, and that was stressful. It was stressful, but it was good fun as well. It was kind of like it was a stressful antidote to all the other stress, if that makes sense, because there's quite a lot of us who are competitive. And then someone went back through and edited all the answers where they answered first to get the answer right, and they got disqualified. And also, let me just check. There's been some promotion for tomorrow's teams. Let me just say what they've said. They're doing pointless tomorrow, so that's tomorrow's quiz. Which I don't know how that's going to go, but so we've been doing a lot of nice stuff to stay in touch.
We ended up doing virtual pub on the Friday where we can't go to an actual pub and chat like we would on a Friday. So basically, whoever gets a drink is sat in front of the Teams camera again. That's the closest you can get to it.
We've been doing stand-ups every day. Let's go through what everyone's doing. We've had a town hall with the whole of the production floor on a Friday, just update what's going on in general. And then I've just been ringing people during the day and just talking to them. So the IT guy, our place I really get on with, so don't need to do any work with him. I've just had him on the phone while I've been working, just chatting. And then some of our friends outside of work, we did a pub meetup quiz on Friday night. There's an app we use, so to find out what it is. But you can put your quiz in there, and then people answer on the app, so you don't have the cheating thing going on. So that was quite good. Anyway, I like the idea of maybe putting something aside. But we've talked of we're trying to set up a Rocket League at the moment because we've got a lot of people with PS4s and Xbox Ones, so it might be easy to do Rocket League and FIFA with crossplay as well.
Sweet. And I'm not sure whether it's actually public release or not, but I did see an article the other day that said that Cards Against Humanity have now got a virtual version of it. So I think because I tried to play board games with in fact I did successfully play board games with my cousin on Saturday night, and she had the board at her house, and she was in one team with my other half, and her other half was in a team with me. So they basically did the questions at their side, and then we did that. But like trying to work out how to play board games virtually is a bit interesting. But if the Cards Against Humanity one's out there, that could be one that's a fun one to play as a group, I think.
Yeah, I think you can play board games on Steam as well. I think there's I don't know what it's called, but if you search board games on Steam, you can play a lot of classic board games.
Oh, really?
Yeah, on the Monopoly.
Asmodee Digital, who do a lot of really good board games, have got a sale on Steam at the moment. So a load of their games that you can play online with mates are super cheap.
Oh, awesome. What are they called again, Tim?
Asmodee Digital.
Asmodee Digital. Okay,
they do,
right.
like Carcassonne.
No way, Carcassonne virtual.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay, you might just fix my weekend.
And you can basically play online with mates. So it's pretty cool, actually. We've been I think like Carcassonne's like £1.50 or £2 on Steam at the moment. It's like peanuts.
Wow. And does everyone have to have a copy of it, or can you play and then invite them to your game?
If you get it on Android, you can let your family members use it, which means you can let 5 mates use it as long as you pretend they're your family.
Amazing. Just like Spotify.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Amazing. Oh, that's quality. I'm gonna have to check that out.
I guess the other thing is there's quite a few subscription services have gone free, haven't they? So I think is Amazon's Audible and their reading books free till June now, I think.
Oh, that's good.
I think it's just some stuff. I think they've given like loads of kids books and things. I don't think it's everything, but there's certainly like a good chunk of free stuff for you to have.
Pluralsight's free, isn't it?
Yeah, Pluralsight's free. Yeah, that was it.
As in completely free on Pluralsight?
Yeah, it's free for this month.
Wow. Okay.
Tell me, one of my guys at work that he's always going about Pluralsight.
Yeah, I think that's definitely worth a look at.
Games and Pluralsight.
Another one that's if you've got children, there's a site called Phonics Play, because you might be thinking about doing schooling. That's free as well now, because you used to have a paywall on that, but yeah, they've taken that off to open it all up for free this month or until the end of coronavirus.
Yeah, there's Twinkle as well, who do a lot of teaching aids and stuff for primary schools. They're giving everyone a free access for a month at the moment as well.
That's good.
There's also Reading Eggs as well, which is like a app thing you can use. It's supposed to be quite good for younger kids.
So, how's everybody finding working on their own? Yeah, but how are you finding like there being problems? Like today, I had a really horrible issue with JavaScript, which turned out to be something horrendous, and it's really difficult sometimes sat here on your own and not really being able to turn around to somebody at the desk next to you and say, pat them on the shoulder and say, hang on a minute, I just need to, that physical action of actually going into, going and slacking somebody or something like that's a little bit harder. What's everybody thinking about that?
I've got colleagues that all work remotely anyway. So we work remotely normally anyway. And we've got this, if you're stuck on something for 20 minutes and you've tried all the different ways you can, then get into it. Don't struggle on it too long on your own. But also, rather than, it's not always just my colleagues that I work with, because I try and network with other people in Umbraco and other communities. I Slack them as well, just like see if they know, because you sort of work out what people's strengths are. So if it was a JavaScript problem, I go to so-and-so. If it was examine, I might go and ask Nick or someone else, or Ismail. So that's what I do. I'm just not shy about asking for help. And I find that DMs are a lot easier than forum posts, personally. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I think it's the thing that I find difficult with that, Paul, is knowing exactly who to go ask. Like sometimes asking the admin channel. But I mean, particularly high five this week to Mr. Jump, because I was doing a content import from a 7 site to another 7 site, and it was this really weird thing with media, and I just DM'd him on the Umbraco channel, and sort of 20. In fact, actually, it wasn't even 20 minutes later. He came back and was totally willing to just have a whole chat about it and actually fixed my issue. It was just something in the config files, and they've done a sort of breaking change in core if anyone else comes across this. Well, not a breaking change, but in terms of the content import, they've changed something. So if you try and import media as GUIDs, he put a PR in for it, and I'm probably describing it really badly. But anyway, he went away, found out what the issue was, got a PR in, and he's super on with that. But I guess he also pointed out that now he is selling Usync Complete, and that's his full-time focus. So I'm also curious as well, is anyone using Usync Complete yet? Because we have obviously had his talk at Unbleeds a couple of months ago, and it looked pretty sexy and it looked amazing. I haven't managed to sell it to a client yet and say, like, this is what you want instead of using Umbraco Deploy in cloud. So is anyone using it, and how are you finding it?
Yeah, I'm using it. I've got it on CodeShare, and I've got it on my friend's Lash's website as well. And it's brilliant. There's been a couple of teething problems early on, but I fed those back to Kevin, and nothing's a problem for long. If you spot it and you let him know. He's done screen shares with me and looked at my logs and all sorts of things like that to get over it. And that was just at the beginning. Ever since then, it's been pretty solid. Awesome. So yeah, I use it. I just used it yesterday again to do some more changes.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, it seems pretty cool, and he's super down. Like when he came and did the talk, it was awesome. It's just finding a client that's willing to do that for the moment, because I work with a lot of smaller people, or people that aren't necessarily going to put that in. They've already got Courier, they've paid for that, but it looks way better than Courier. And
I've used it.
I hope no one from Core's watching.
I've used Cloud, so it was quite funny because I was using Cloud quite a while, and then I started using Usync Complete to do my CodeShare site and this other one, and it feels a lot quicker to do the things that it took quite a lot longer with Cloud, and also you don't get these schema mismatches and things going on. It just seems to not have similar sort of issues. It just seems to just work.
Sweet. I look forward to being able to use it in production somewhere then.
Yeah, it seems more granular as well. So with Cloud, it seems like you have to send everything, whereas with this, you can decide what you send and pull. If you see what I mean.
Cool. So the other thing that I'm curious about is, so we mentioned it earlier on in the talk about 8.6, is it? Has anyone actually used it yet? Because when I was pulling the slides together today, I put the release on there and went to have a quick look at the release notes and saw there is an absolute boatload of work items in there that they've put in. Probably too many to really understand. Then I went and looked at the blog post, and that also looked like there was a shed load of stuff. Anyone had a look at it yet? Anyone got any initial thoughts?
You should give big ones a day or two just in case something really critical comes out. So
I haven't pulled it or done anything with it. Yeah. I'm just curious as to whether anyone's actually had
probably going to look on Monday.
Cool.
I've got it running on a site that's going live in a few weeks, because I upgraded it to the release candidate thinking it would fix something, and it didn't, and I tried to roll it back, and it turns out you can't roll back. So I was stuck on release candidate for a couple of weeks until it came out yesterday, Tuesday even. So I was like, Thank God for that. So so far it's working fine. I've had a couple of small issues I've managed to figure out myself, but otherwise, I think it's relatively solid.
Awesome. I mean, the big thing that I saw on the blog post looked like they've actually upgraded the media thing a little bit, and now there's sort of references to media captured in the media.
That's that's much nicer now, apparently.
Yeah, but I didn't know whether there was. I think there was something about another media picker or doing something with the dialogue, but I'm not sure whether I really understood that properly.
You know, when the new version comes out, how do you check it out? What do you do?
I generally throw it at a site that I probably will upgrade and see if shit breaks, and if it doesn't, it's generally throw it at probably the site that I'm most likely to upgrade next, chuck it on there, do the configs and all the rest of it, and then see does it still all run, and if it does, then generally I'm quite happy with it. Anyone else?
No, that's the approach I normally take. I go through the key areas of the site and see how it is in comparison.
Yeah, what I tend to do is download the zip file. So I go onto umbraco.com, go to download, and just download the zip file, and then I open VS Code and do the command palette and just start IIS, Express, just start website, and straight away within 2 minutes you're in it and you're looking at it. Or the other way of doing it is I cheekily set up a Umbraco cloud trial. Yeah, especially for testing if a package still works on there. But yeah, the download the zip file works really well in the VS Code and IIS Express. I think you need Warren Buckley's plugin for it, but for VS Code. But yeah, it works really quickly if you just want to check it out and have a look.
Matt, I'm curious, what was the reason you were running on the release candidate? Was there something in 8.6 that you wanted, or were you just feeling bleeding edge and crumpled dog?
I was trying to do something on 8.4 and it wasn't working, and I think I read a ticket, one of the Umbraco tickets, saying it was coming up in a later release. It didn't say which one, so I thought, okay, I'll throw 8.6 on there and see if it works. The release candidate, thinking I could roll back. And it turns out it did. It worked. It was something. It was a reverse proxy issue I had on the site. So as it was working on the release candidate, I was like, okay, I'll wait until it's out before I roll this out. And I couldn't, so I was stuck with it. And thankfully at that point it was at about 98% done anyway, so it wasn't terrible. But I was actually quite shocked to find out you couldn't roll back. I thought that was a standard feature. But it makes sense you can't, to be honest.
I suppose the database migration script.
Yeah, there'll be quite a lot of changes in there. So I just remember on 7 being able to, move about all over the place whenever you wanted. Now here, it's just a bit of a shock.
So I'm really disappointed that we're not seeing Paul's green screen tonight.
Oh yeah, I've not got it set up. Because I've just moved into we converted the garage into an office and a utility room. I've not put my green screen up yet, so I'm just on the blank wall. So I do apologise.
I was looking forward to some wacky backgrounds.
Yeah, I have seen some good ones on Twitter. I like the one.
This is our studio behind me, which I kind of miss a bit now.
Oh right, so you're not there. Oh.
No, I'm not there. Yeah. I've actually got the same desk at home as I have there with pretty much the same setup. So
yeah,
I know you're supposed to have a bit of separation. I would say I went to the Glasgow. That sounds funny, that doesn't it? When it's a virtual. I attended the Glasgow meetup the other day, and we've had a couple of local ones as well. But yeah, it's really nice doing this. I run a meetup in Colchester, and it's on the same night as Umbraco London. And I keep promising myself I'll go one day, and I've never been. Oddly enough, I'm doing a virtual one the same time as they are next week as well. But it was great to do the Glasgow one, and it's great to come tonight. My son goes to university in York, and I love York, and I miss the accent. So it's nice listening to you lot.
Well, I think there is actually an Umbraco York. I don't know whether they're planning to host it virtually because they started York last year.
Yeah,
And
it
I
was
went to
like
their,
end of last year, wasn't it?
yeah, I went to their first meetup and it was really cool. It was super well attended actually for a first meetup of real one. I think there's about 10, 12 people there. And yeah, definitely cool. But I noticed that they put one in the calendar for next month as another one. So I don't know whether they'll be hosting a virtual. Well, I assume if they are going to still do it, it'll be a virtual one. But yeah, it's one on the calendar there.
The first conferences I went to were .York. I don't know.
Yeah, I know .York.
Yeah, I mean, it was such a fan. I went to the first and second one, and they're really well run, and you can't not fall in love with York as well. I mean, it's such a fantastic town. I haven't been to Leeds yet.
Well, I was just about to say, if you're, if you're going to compare Leeds is definitely bit. York's older and got maybe more cool stuff and old pubs, but Leeds, we've got a fancy new station roof.
I wouldn't all day,
Oh, sorry, I did not hear that. You went robot on us.
Sorry, I was going to go. So we had a conference planned this year, which we've had to cancel, and but the week before was all day hay in Leeds.
Oh yeah, they like the haystack guide.
Yeah, so I'm a bit friendly with Harry Roberts, and yeah, I was hoping to go. He's always posting lovely photographs of Leeds, and
I used to work with his missus.
Oh, right. Okay. Oh, which
Jill
one?
used to be a project manager at one of my main clients.
Right. Okay. Because he's doing live cocktail classes at the moment.
So yeah, I saw.
He is very good at making cocktails.
He's really good at cocktails, and he's getting really good at cooking as well.
He was the barman all night. It was great.
Well, he's doing cooking tips as well now because he's really into his steaks, and he's reversed.
Yeah, he did his steaks as well. He cooked a steak and then he did his cocktails. So it was
that's fantastic. But he's recommending all the restaurants in Leeds and all the best bars, and it does look fantastic. You've got a great community in Leeds, haven't you? It's like we're a tiny town. Colchester's. It's the fastest growing town in the country, so we're catching up. But in terms of digital, Colchester, when I first moved here about 10, 12 years ago, it was like a digital wasteland. There was hardly anything at all, really. But we've got 800 members now in the group from half a dozen of us down the pub at one point.
Wow, that's
good.
Yeah.
We're getting there very slowly.
I think it's like with any meetup, it's kind of it's a over time thing. We found that with Leeds, it's nice to see it growing and everything, but it doesn't happen overnight.
No.
It's really grassroots. We do a different theme each month, and we normally get about 20 to 30 people, but there's probably half a dozen regulars, and then everyone else, it's a completely different group. So if we do a code night, we had a hackathon, whole bunch of people turned up I hadn't seen before. We might do a photography night. We normally have 2 speakers on a theme each month. But and yeah, respect to you guys. I know running meetups it's really hard work. It seems so casual, but it is actually quite hard work, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's rewarding, and especially when because quite a few of us are it's like freelancers or whatever, or it's nice to have the community of other especially in the Umbraco world, like other Umbraco developers and things. So it's really, really valuable, and it's really feeling really inclusive at the minute. With Edinburgh being open for everyone, we want to do the same thing, and hopefully Umbraco London in a couple of weeks is going to be the same, and they usually have a pretty good turnout, so hopefully it'll be the same. And hopefully Zoom will have fixed their issues by then, or we can manage that a little bit better. So yeah, sorry about the start of that, people. We as the admin team, we had a chat about that today. We had a plan in place. We were only doing the password and things, and yet we still managed to get some lurkers in there, which was fun admin to start with.
I keep reading negative stuff about Zoom, and we've got Teams as we run the group out of Teams anyway. But I've been playing with it for 2 weeks. I've had Microsoft on call, and it's not good for this. It's good for internal meetings, but if you want to start inviting guests and stuff, the public. So when you do a public event, you get 3 kind of levels that you can do it at, and the final one you just send the link out to people. Obviously, what happened tonight was not good. People kind of jump.
Yeah. I guess there's people that are very bored that want to just come and wreck your meeting because they've got nothing better to do. But hey, either that or we're just super popular on Twitter, and who knows?
It'll become a sport. But yeah, I'm still in 2 minds whether to use Zoom or Teams next week. If you use like the public broadcasted Teams, you can do up to 10,000 people, but it's a 10-second delay. So I think it's probably better for broadcasting an event rather than having something more interactive than this.
I would say if you do use Zoom, make sure you use a waiting room like we had tonight, because then obviously they can't just rejoin.
So guys, I've just noticed a question we've got on YouTube, because I was keeping an eye on the channel in case anyone else wanted to come in. So Lewis says, now that I've been laid off from my work, can you give us some feedback on where we can go and improve our Umbraco skills? I'm already following Paul's videos on V8 on YouTube. I'll start probably. It's open to anyone, but I would probably say kind of playing with it and then having a look at any questions you've got, going onto the Our forum, and coming across and asking questions. There's also the Umbraco Slack channel as well. So anyone can, in fact, actually, can anyone still join that, or is that still a private link? Who knows?
Yeah, I think you can. I think you can still join that.
Yeah, so join the Umbraco Slack channel. Go on there. There's an announcements channel. There's several other ones, and you can kind of ask anything on there. But probably the biggest one is actually kind of using it really. And having to play with different packages. I don't know how other people do it, but I tend to just, if I'm gonna want to learn a new bit of it, I'll just invent a use case and then play with the code and see what I can do with it really, or see what other people have already done, and borrow bits of code from there or ideas, and effectively repurpose things that already exist.
Yeah, I guess.
I think.
Oh.
Go on. We're not at time. I don't want to say who got in there first, but there was definitely Rachel and Phil.
Yeah. So I think talking to the people in the community, I think that's where you're going to learn the most from, is asking questions and getting to know people, and and that's the best way you're going to learn things, I think.
I was going to say the same, and Umbraco TV as well. So that's just umbraco.tv, which there's a link in the back office to that as well sometimes.
Yeah, I've got another tip. On the documentation page, there's actual tutorials on there as well. And what I did, I set up a repo on GitHub, and I just started going through the different tutorials and just like following that through and see if I can add that to this Umbraco site. So that was really useful. And then each time I committed it was a new chapter, a new thing that I'd learned on from the documentation. And also by doing that, you might spot problems where the actual example doesn't work, so you can contribute back and do pull requests to like change the documentation to say, oh, you needed this bit of code, or this was wrong wording or something like that. So you're learning from it, you're contributing back, and also you're getting your name seen within the GitHub commits and things like that. So when people are looking to hire, if you can say that you're contributing on there, and they can see that. So that's quite useful as well.
I think as well, and having a look at the source code for Umbraco. Umbraco 7 was a bit of a mess, to be honest, but Umbraco 8, the source code's a lot better than it was. and it's a lot easier to follow things. So looking at those and looking at the source code of packages as well, the amount of stuff that I've picked up and ideas that I've picked up just by doing that, and made me a much better developer.
Yeah, having a look at other packages is always not. I mean, it's kind of very educational to see. Oh, actually, that's how you do it, and it's definitely been a couple of times where I've for bits that I've done for the back office had a look at other back office packages, because you think I know that bit works in there. So we've got another live YouTube question, which I think is really good. Which it starts off: isn't Umbraco dead? Who's still using it and why? So a quick show of hands: who's still using Umbraco? Cool. Oh, Terence not okay. But valuably though, they have asked why is Umbraco better than WordPress? So I mean, who wants to field that one? Because it's genuinely a question I have been asked, like, what's the difference between Umbraco and WordPress? How do people answer that? Because you what? Sorry, Tim.
Go look on a 0-day vulnerability on website for all the security issues with WordPress, and see if you can find as many in Umbraco.
I mean, that's a fantastic point. I try to give a bit more of a balanced thing and say I like to describe Umbraco as like a lot more enterprise grade and extendable and kind of built on the .NET platform. But I mean, that's probably a hands down winner. Just it's full of security holes.
Yeah, I mean it's the biggest because I'm on the Gold Partner Slack channel, and it's the biggest. That's the thing that comes up like every 2 weeks. Like,
what do they say? As in, like, why is it better than WordPress?
Yeah, because clients ask for it all the time, so there's like no definitive this, that, or the other. I mean, like Tim said, one of the things is security to start with. Just .NET in general, the security is a lot better than it is on WordPress.
Okay, so we have actually the person who answered this question, asked this question said, yeah, but I can put a website in WordPress in an hour, and I think probably the simple answer to that is, well, you can on Umbraco Cloud. So you can, I think they're quite big on explaining that, yeah, you can spin up an Umbraco website on Umbraco Cloud in probably 2 or 3 minutes. I guess
one thing I like about Umbraco is that you're not tied to the themes or your front end is separate from the back end, and so I think with WordPress you have to have the themes and the plugins, don't you? You can just do it. Like you could just get your designer or your front end builder to build exact HTML and CSS, and that exact HTML and CSS will be what you have on your Umbraco site. But I don't think you can say the same for WordPress, from my understanding.
Yeah, I think I agree with that one.
I think WordPress creates a big ball of mud because everything is so integrated and so together, and that's what it causes something you can't really work with in the long term.
Yeah, I think one of the things is it depends what sort of developer you are to start with, what you're actually building, and what your feature set, what you want to get out of, because it also depends on your content editor as well. I mean, we've had people switch to WordPress because a new marketing person's come in and all they know is WordPress, and you can take them through the site and they just won't change their mind at all. They just want to use WordPress.
Yeah.
So it also depends on that angle as well, because
so similar to that, we sometimes find SEO companies will push WordPress a bit because they know a plugin they can do that they can press some buttons that just turns on SEO features, and that's all they know. So that is all they'll push.
Yeah, that is one of the things. Or you hear WordPress does this or that. It's like, well, like you said, the SEO one's probably the biggest one we get as well. It's like, well, explain them what them features are. And if they're not in Umbraco, we'll just put them in. So we've gradually over time baked them features into our builds. Yeah, I mean, it depends. Like, if it's a developer question, why would you use it one over the other? It completely depends what site you're using as well, I guess. As well, would be the other thing.
And if you're used to PHP or .NET, I mean, if I was a PHP developer, I'd just be doing WordPress. I wouldn't be doing Umbraco, but because I like .NET, it seems to make sense.
Yeah.
I quite often have to. So I'm customer facing to our clients. So obviously that's the question I have to answer. So there's a couple of positives. First of all, I'll answer the question about setting up a WordPress site in an hour. You can use Umbraco Cloud, but Azure web apps it takes minutes. I mean, look, Paul knows we set up a repo in DevOps, pull an empty repo, install Umbraco, put our regular templates in, publish it. You can do it all in an hour. I don't think there's any difference there. But if you want it in a nutshell, because I've noticed people struggling trying to describe it, so I say to clients that Umbraco, WordPress is a content management system, a web content management system, and Umbraco is a web content management system builder. And then they say, well, what do you mean by that? Because obviously it does sound quite technical. And I say, what it means is, generally speaking, if you get a WordPress site with a set of templates, what you're trying to do is cram your content, your business logic into something that's already made. So if you bought a sports car and you're trying to cram your family of 4 into it, it's not going to work. With Umbraco, I say to clients, if they tell us that their content editors are not very technical and they just want to do things quickly and easily, then we say we can build you an interface and we hide away all the technical stuff. And from a developer's point of view, an example of that would be all the SEO stuff that you were just talking about. So say you've got a content editor that just wants to make pages. If you give them, is the title of the visible title of the page, same as the meta title, same as the open graph stuff, like they won't understand what you mean. But the SEO people might say, actually, I want to be able to have a different social media, have one title of the page for open graph, one for meta, and one visible in the page. But
sorry, can I just interrupt you, Dean?
Sure.
It's 8 o'clock and I see my neighbours clapping, so it's NHS appreciation time. So if we can all just, if we don't mind, just a little bit of a clap for our NHS and everyone else and all the care workers and all the essential workers and everything. Sorry to interrupt you.
That's what I thought I could hear clapping.
Yeah, that's why I got up. Everyone's outside in front.
And I need interrupting, and
No, it's fine. I think just yeah, I can see them, and I was aware of it because we did it on the Edinburgh meetup last week, and I spotted Tim disappear, and I thought because on the Edinburgh one I just switched off my camera and ran away for a couple of minutes, but I figured that it was.
No, I live like such a way in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, I show them a few interfaces that we've built, and I say, look, this person that's editing this website, they just want to be in, make a page, put some content in, and get out again. And then I show them one with a very demanding client where they've got a marketing team, they've got SEO people, and they want to do lots of clever stuff with the page. And obviously, the interface for that is really complicated, and it's quite amazing how simple one interface can be for a very simple page. This is the thing that keeps coming up with the whole tabs and infinite editing thing. If a page has got like 50 features on it and the page is 50 foot long, as opposed to grouping it into tabs, I think that's one of the reasons. So, but yeah, I tend to show them the editing part. I try to understand what they want to do with their website, how the business is using it, and how on earth can you just give somebody a ready-made WordPress template, WordPress website, and say, pick a theme, and then you go, here's your website, here's your invoice, see you later, good luck. So we've actually had, and I'm sure you all have, got quite a few clients that have come from WordPress in the first place. And yeah, they obviously, they love Umbraco. Once you set it up correctly for them, it's so quick, isn't it? If you set it up for their workflow, it's just so fast. So
maybe that's the thing, is people need to know how to set it up, and there's quite a lot of technicalities there. And when I first set it up, despite doing the training, there was quite a learning curve there behind it in terms of the best way to do it. So there is that thing of WordPress where you can literally just get it, shove a theme in there. And I think that's what you meant by saying that to get to a full site is a lot quicker than, because you end up, if you just install a web app or into Crowd, you just get an empty site. Effectively, you can do anything with it, but that's a very dangerous thing, is having a blank piece of paper, because it puts people into shock. they don't know what to do.
It can almost seem like you don't get anything, and I think that's it's either really scary or really powerful. I remember when I first came to it, and it was before like starter kits were, in 4, I think like 4 or 5 and stuff. It wasn't that good. So you'd spin it up, you get it, and you'd be like, oh, well, there's nothing here. And until you appreciate that actually it means that you can do whatever you want versus here is your thing. Although on the same note, when I think if you show a really good starter kit, and I mean, not there's anything wrong with the main starter kit, and it's fairly straightforward. Like at the Edinburgh meetup last week when they showed U-skinned, and the amount of kind of stuff that comes out the box there, that's almost like a WordPressy, like there's a lot of editors in there, there's a lot of stuff you can do and theming, and it shows the power of Umbraco with something that someone who potentially would come to a WordPress theme and see, oh, here's an example. That's a nice thing to show. But I suppose it's that balance between, it's really powerful, or here's something that you're just using and modifying. I don't know what other people think on that, but
yeah, I mean that's what we do, and what I'm building and have been building for a while now is all about. Really, is trying to make it easier for somebody to be able to just create a site and pull things in and pull a patron library and start to use it. And that's what I'm really excited to see for Umbraco, and open up this new part to it, so that people can just go in and turn it on, and that be it. But it's still been maintainable. Sorry, I'm doing a bit of a plug here, aren't I?
Phil, would that be Yuzu?
It might be easy, yeah.
Available now on YouGet.
I was having a look at, so you Yuzu?
Sorry?
Are you doing Yuzu?
I'm doing Yuzu, yeah.
So I was looking at that, and there was something else called Bento as well.
Yeah, Bento is like the block kind of thing, which does look really good. But
has anyone got any news on the block editor? I mean, obviously, WordPress people have gone very Marmite on the Gutenberg block editor.
Yeah.
Some of them absolutely hate it. Some of them hate their clients having it, because their clients are making a big mess of their website, giving them freedom.
Yeah, that block thing is an interesting thing, because we've had discussion about it, because we use Episerver got blocks as well. The site, I think the Sims is probably better than Umbraco's is with the grid, but you get to a point where you go a bit too far with it. So you do all the UX and user experience for something, you then end up breaking down into blocks, and then sometimes it turns into a bit of a jigsaw, and they have to build it themselves. And it's a really fine balance of trying not to tip from one to the other.
I think with Gutenberg, they've broken the blocks down too small, putting in a heading, putting in a paragraph, putting in an image. We tend to put in like what we call feature blocks that comes with a heading too, with a description, and then the functionality, whatever that might be, a slideshow, a set of images, a list of links, and then a summary. And all of our features all come with the option to add a heading, a description, the content, and then the summary at the bottom. They'll work the same way, because end users they have a limit of how much they can learn. And with the freedom of the full scope block editor, it's too much. I mean, you're teaching a web design.
Yeah, I mean, we tend to turn everything off on the grid, to be honest. There's no layout, there's no nothing. You get one choice, and then we do the rest around it. So we'll create a block which is 2-column, and we'll make the properties live where they want, and they can move that whole chunk about, same as what you're saying. Because going into that detail, like you're saying, it is just a mess. It sounds like a good idea at the time. I guess it's some people go, but I guess that's what Psycho as well, where everything was a small little module, went further and further.
The funny thing is, none of it's new. I was working 18 years ago on Java server pages where they were making everything out of I can't remember what they were called. The little servlets or something.
Servlets, yeah. Servlets, yeah.
Similar thing, and it was awful, really. It was really bad. But has there really been any news on the Umbraco block editor?
I have no idea. I think there is an RFC about it, and I think it's. Has anyone read the RFC on that or contributed to it? Because I know I haven't.
I think I was interested at the beginning, but I think I stopped following it after a bit. I've not contributed really or kept up with it.
We have moved to version 8, and my partner, who does more of the back end stuff, is using the .type grid editor. Is it Soren's been working on it, hasn't he? And I think it works really well. But I still prefer. I'm using stacked inside stacked in version 7. I'm nesting stack content.
Yeah.
And I just find that gives me what I would like that. I would like that in version 8, the way that stack content works. I found it really flexible. Whatever a client asks for, I can build it quite easily and quickly in stack content. We're using nested a bit as well, but what are you all using in version 8? Are you using .type grid editor or grid on its own?
Yeah. .type grid editor mainly, yeah.
Yeah, grid editor.
Yeah.
It's what we use in 7 as well.
You're using the initial outer container of only a single column.
Yeah. And doing the same thing that Paul showed in his talk as well.
Yeah, just limits the design control for the editors, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I like to use the Markdown editor as well. So, say on my website, I've got Markdown editor. So with .type grid editor, I can just pick Markdown, and then it's really handy for code snippets as well because it just presents it really well. You don't have to format it or anything like that. You just indent it once, and then when you put that in the Markdown editor, it just shows it in the pre-code block, so that's really useful. So I just stick with the Umbraco grid for now with the .type grid editor.
Yeah, we came across one today because what we did in 7 is we had a global picker, so you could create a page which would be a block, and you could pick it, and it worked fine before because everyone's published content. So been battling with that today because it's published element. You've been having a lot of fun with that today, haven't you, Matt?
Yeah, doing a lot of database changes to have compositions with all the properties on. And then we're going to end up with 2 different document types, one that's an element for the grids and the other one for the globals, because they all inherit their properties from compositions. All the front end stuff will just inherit from that interface instead of the direct model. So yeah.
Has anyone seen? Sorry, has anyone seen new.site? If you go to new.site in your browser, basically it's a Google site, and I like the way their editor works, where you drag in some layout. If someone could build this for Umbraco, it'd be good.
Oh, in Chrome?
Yeah, in Chrome, go to new.site, and if you're signed in on Google, it will automatically start you with a page builder for a website.
I do not get that on my Chrome.
I don't get it on mine either.
No, same
You
here.
got a fancy
Screen share.
Screen share.
Hang on.
We got the tech.
Can you see me now? Yeah, can you see? So I just went to new.site. Oh, sorry, site.new, is it? Hang on. Site.
I don't think you're sharing.
Am I not showing?
No.
Oh, I didn't click share. Sorry, it's site.new. Site.new. And then you get this, and you can just start. It's going to reload it again. Yeah, you get this, and you can just start adding your rows in like that.
Cool.
And pick your images and drag them in. It's quite Really handy.
Whoa.
Really good. It'd be good to see an editor like this put into Umbraco.
I think that's what the blocks are allowing us to do, isn't it? They're going to be one standard type for grid, stat, content type things, but everything underneath it's going to be the same, and then you can build your own UI on top of it. I think is the plan from a while ago when I read the RFC. It might have changed.
Yeah.
So in theory, you could have a plugin that implements a UI like this, but boils down to a bunch of array of iPublished element, probably something like that. So all of that in theory should be configurable eventually.
Yeah.
It looks a little bit like Bento, from what I remember of Bento.
Oh, does it?
Oh, that's something I wasn't aware of. So something cool to play with another day.
Yes, thank you.
Awesome.
Has anybody been keeping up with the progress of things like Wix? And I came across a new one called Dada the other day. Has everybody come across that?
No, what's that? Is it a similar thing to Wix?
It's a similar thing to Wix, but it's aimed at agencies basically. So the idea behind it is that you use their platform to create sites, and it gives you a little bit more control. Now it's not perfect by any means, but for those really smaller sites, those really small brochureware sites, and it can do a really good job. And I recently lost a customer because they went to Wix and they started using that, which is a bit scary, really, to be honest. And Wix now, you can do things like have custom pages, and you can have databases attached to it, and you can have a Node server, Node.js server attached to it as well, so you can have things running in the background. So it's really crazy what you can do with that now. And obviously you're tied to their themes and their templates and things like that, but at the same time, they're really starting to eat at that base a little bit. So I'll put a link up. Dada. Oh, is it Dada? Yes. Sorry, I'm being harassed by children at the same time.
Hello.
True multitasking there, Phil.
Yeah.
Is it bedtime? I know.
Yes, it is.
No, how many people did we see?
Lots of people.
Oh.
Have I got the name wrong? I might have done. I'm a bit rubbish for these things, but.
Doodah. Doodah, yeah.
Doodah, yeah, Doodah, that's the one.
Is it, because I know Wix is quite cheap, is it pretty cheap like that as well then? Or?
Yep.
Because I think that's sometimes one thing that I find with smaller clients is that they're very price sensitive to hosting as well.
Yeah. Well, it's $11.20 a month to get a site. So yeah,
yeah, that's pretty cheap.
The agent's $60 at the moment.
Wow.
So it's interesting, these no-code editors starting to come through, and then there's a lot of talk about low-code stuff as well. So using things like, what's it called? Not Zeppelin, Zapier, and that sort of thing to link things together as people come across Zapier.
We use it from Leeds a tiny bit, Phil. It's in the Slack channel where every time someone joins Meetup, we get one of those. But
right, yeah. I forgot you had that. Yeah.
Well, I forgot. I think Stefano set it up, so it's just it's a mystical thing that was there from quite a while ago. But yeah, it is pretty cool that those kind of things exist. But how would that work for like content stuff?
Well, you're linking through like the no code stuff with the low code stuff to provide some of your functionality behind it, and then using Node.js stuff underneath it to pipe in data. It's like, it's serverless but without any coding, if that makes sense.
God, the machines are taking over.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, that's pretty cool though. Okay. Any more topics for discussion then, or are we sort of at a good point there to say, does anyone else want to kind of chip in, or are we all done there for the evening?
Can I ask a cheeky one on importing sites from other platforms? Have any of you had to do that?
Yeah.
A little bit.
So just before you do, I'm just going to say bye because I've got to go now.
Are you doing bed? Are you on bedtime duty, Paul?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, well, enjoy reading the bedtime
See you
story, and
later,
I guess
Paul.
from all of us, thank you very much for coming along, for sharing, and for presenting. Really appreciate it.
No worries. Cheers. See you later.
Thank you.
See you.
ya.
Thank you.